Greetings, I'm Ray, and I wanted to talk about Hollow Knight charms. There's quite a few of these, like 30, I believe. And each one of them has a separate effect. However, the lore behind them is interesting. We know from Celebra that each of these could be the result of a dying will. The candidates for that is Dash Master, Stalwart Shell, Sharp Shadow, perhaps? Carefree Melody might be the death of Rum's identity. And Spell Twister, possibly. The more theory-sided angle of this is when I looked at Soul Catcher, used by shamans to draw more soul from the world around them. Okay, so it should allow us to passively gain extra soul in every method we gain soul in, right? Increases the amount of soul gained when striking the enemy with a nail. Okay, those are two different effects. Shamans use it with more effect than we do. Alright, that's surely not a coincidence. Now Master's Glory increases the bearer's mastery of nail arts. So this amplifies mastery of nail arts, alright? Quick Focus increases the speed of focusing soul. It's almost like all of these charms increase the aptitude for a skill you already have. I'm not sure what to think on that. However, it makes a lot of sense. You can't have stronger Shade Cloaks if you don't have Shade Cloak. However, there's also the implication here, with Soul Catcher, that it could be trained, yes? The usage of these charms being trainable, if they're based on enhancing trainable skills, could work really interestingly. In fact, the whole process of soul casting is bizarre, because first you have to get a soul vessel. Most bugs can't even start before getting a soul vessel. That's why these things are so expensive. Sly selling them for 500, probably at a discount. Then you need to find a method of gaining soul. Soul Eater almost implies it's so expensive because it can give anyone the ability to gain soul by striking enemies. Implying, and we see that the Dream Nail is another way to gain soul, which is probably how the Radiance did it. The King Soul is probably how the Pale King and White Lady did it. Grub Song is how the Grubs do it, I believe. Concerning when you think about it. And a good example of this is the Weaverlings. We have to give the Weaverlings a method of obtaining soul from striking enemies. Very interesting. The weirdest, though, of this bunch are the fragile charms. Because they're made somehow, meaning there's a process to make fragile charms, and then Undying, I believe, makes them permanent for a lot of Geo, implying that you can create fragile charms without sacrifice, and that you can make permanent charms with other processes. Now, we can go even farther into this topic by looking at Silksong. First of which is information from Hollow Knight that applies to Silksong, and that's the Void Heart. The hearts are practically at crowns of an entire region, and as we see here, unifies the void under the bearer's will. Carmelita's version probably says unifies the sky under the bearer's will. Cuskin Khan's probably says unify the coral under the bearer's will. The other notable thing about the Void Heart is that the charm is part of its bearer. As we see, taking away a heart requires killing the original dream where it was created. Very interesting that Ghost, at least, sees this as a free charm. Because charms are almost a temporary additions to the wielder's capabilities, though more often enhancements to the wielder's capabilities, like Mark of Pride is again a weird one. Did the Mentai create this? If so, how? We never hear the process for creating these, however we have a lot of proof that they're creatable. This one actually has the creation process listed, born from imperfect discard nails that have been fused together. The nails still long to be wielded. So fusing a bunch of nails together gets you a quick slash, apparently. Or, by the looks of it, heavy blow. Depending on the nail, I suppose. And Fear of the Fallen embodies the fury and heroism that comes upon those who are about to die. This is probably made from the death of a bug who was really angry about dying. However, it's right next to a lore tablet talking about taking off your mask. I'm sure that has no implications. However, we also have more we can learn about the charm system from Silksong, and that's Hornet's version of it, which is the tool and crest system. In fact, the characters most likely have crests. Ghost, for example, has the Wanderer's crest, most likely. Fast swing speed, downward pogo, same short range. However, they also have, well, Nail Art 1, Nail Art 2, or even Nail Art 3, implying that Ghost has more slots available. And talking about slots, we have charm notches, which in the first game are inexplicable. They just exist. However, we get another name for them in Silksong. Memory lockets. They're literally allowing you to have more memory stored within your being or crest. In Ghost's case, 11 charm notches. And we don't even know if this is the limit. However, the systems are subtly different because, while Hornet can access multiple types of crests, Ghosts can access any of these charms for different costs, which is interesting and could be, and I would say is a retcon, if not for the mementos. You see, in Silksong, there are a few mementos, currently 8, I believe, which are like the heart and put on Hornet's wall. So if the heart is a charm, then why wouldn't all the mementos be a charm? In fact, all of them are charm-shaped. And we can theorize about their effects all day, because Hornet can't wield them. This implies the crest system is not perfectly compatible with all charms. In fact, it's not even compatible with all of these mementos, which is strange, but they make a lot of sense when looking at Hollow Knight's completely separate system, because Ghost can't use red tools at all. But that may be representative of how there's few red tools in the Wanderer Crest, but none? The Wanderer Crest has 2 slots for them. In fact, it's arguable that Ghost has a mix of Shaman and Wanderer's Crest because of that reason. In fact, a lot of the effects of crests are comparable to charms. Quick Slash, Wanderer Crest's faster swing speed. Gerberfly's Elegy, a weaker version of Shaman Crest's longer ranged attacks. Another example is, I believe, Steady Body, giving reduced knockback to swinging at foes, being true for the, I want to say, Reaper's Crest, or the extra soul gain from Soulcatcher, again connected to the Reaper's Crest. We can actually go farther with this crest speculation and start theorizing about what crests different characters have. For example, the Traitor Lord probably has the Hunter's Crest. We can see them diagonally pogo. Same with Horn. She probably has the Hunter's Crest in-game, since she never refers to losing any crests. However, then it's questionable how she knows to bind things. That might be a tutorial she was given the first time a Weaver instructed her to do it. Well, this has been fun. Thank you for watching and listening. Bye.